work around it.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can serve on both. We do have some that serve on both, and actually Chairman Holt and I've had a discussion last week about possibly just condensing it to one board that serves as planning board and board of adjustment. It's hard to get citizens involved in everything, but if we can get a good group that's involved in both boards, they know what's going on with the town, because these meetings are very, very, very brief.
Mm-hmm.
Very brief.
Mm-hmm.
5-10 minutes and we're out. So, but he does serve on the planning board, yes, sir.
I make a motion to accept Mr. Tartt's application for the board adjustments.
Because he is the only one anyway, right?
Yes, sir. He's the only one we've received right now.
He's the
Or
only
the only one that has applied.
Thanks, Nick.
I second that motion.
All right, have a first and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. And motion passes 4-0. Next on the agenda is a COG representative. We were actually supposed to do this in December. And this person, this commissioner, would either travel to Durham and have dinner and do sit on a board as I guess as an alternate.
Correct.
And as I sit on the board, and it would be basically, there's 4 meetings a year, I believe, one every quarter. We've already had one this year, in which I did last week or 2 weeks ago, and just need someone as a backup if I can't make it, and it can be done by Teams or
Zoom. I think it's Teams, actually. Yeah.
a Teams meeting, which a lot of people do that.
I'll make a nomination, motion, I don't know which one I need to make, that Commissioner Martin will be our backup.
Okay.
Let's not do that. Because most of the time, I'm not gonna be available to attend.
I will state that, most of the time in the past, it is the mayor pro tem.
I make a motion.
Michael's being represented.
Meetings are usually 6 to 8, and like I said, it can be done by Teams.
And they are in Durham,
But if you want to go up for dinner, you can go get it. You'll be on.
but they're also online.
I don't like her.
All right.
Darren probably does not care.
It's not Durham, I don't like it, it's good track.
All right. And is there any need to vote on that? Is that just?
Yeah, if you will.
Okay,
I have
so-
to let the COG know.
Okay. So I have a. Do I have a motion?
I have a
She made a motion.
You have. I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Then the motion was,
To nominate
Commissioner
Michael. Commissioner Hall.
second.
I have a first and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. And motion.
Yeah.
I don't think I can vote for myself.
I
Yeah.
think you can. I think you can. 4. All right. 4-0. All right. Next on the agenda is the audit recap.
Hey, you had one in my book.
That's not the, order that says,
Yeah.
that's like the highlight.
Okay. Okay. I've got the
Okay, so
link should send. I'll send another one real quick.
You done closed up?
Send it to
You're not going home yet?
And he said, I was like, oh yeah, I'll get the
Didn't we tell you last time not to get used to that?
I didn't look that far down. You should have done.
Who are we? We're not going to have.
He's having technical difficulties on his end. He's trying to resend
Who are we
the
going to be
invite.
talking with?
Huh?
Who are we going to be talking with?
Greg, and I do not know his last name. It's not Austin. Austin had to present in another town tonight. But I do not know Greg.
Well, we're waiting on Greg and Milo.
Oh, there he is. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I missed my opportunity.
That was not right.
Is the internet acting up? Is that what
It was earlier, but he said it's on his end.
we had a car crash this morning out at school. And ours was on and off all day.
Got a what?
There was a car crash right here at the elementary school this morning. They hit a light pole, knocked it down. And the internet was coming and going. The lights blinked a few times.
Yeah, the elementary school, they got there.
Yeah,
and-
for a while, I thought we were having a storm at home.
And then we
Because it
went
was
home
coming
because
on.
they didn't have no power.
Wow.
You said to sit the kids home?
Oh, yeah. Just elementary.
Took the whole complete pole out,
What?
clipped it completely into.
That person in the car had to get hurt.
They were not hurt.
Went right.
Wow.
In fact, when it was toned out, it was toned out property damage only.
Wow, that is amazing.
But they originally, when they were talking about school, they had a partial outage. But the problem was is they had to shut the power
Yeah,
off to
off,
fix
yeah.
it, so they had to cut all the
Yeah.
power off.
Wow. I tell you what, they were very fortunate because normally if
Can you hear
you're
me?
light pole, things don't go all that way.
Test, test.
Well,
Hello? Can you hear me, Greg?
Because I've seen people hit a light pole just going 20 and it goes car.
It's a very sudden stop.
Yeah.
Well, I can't hear him. Can you hear me? He can hear me, but I cannot hear you.
Your volume up?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all the way up. It worked fine today because we tested it. Had 3 meetings on it.
I love technology.
Yep.
What we got, Mike?
I got it cut off.
Hey, Greg, I can't, hold on. Let me echo one. Hold on, let me call you right back.
Difficulty breathing.
Hmm?
Difficulty breathing.
Oh.
Mute yourself on here, or else you won't get the feedback. There you go.
Hey, can you hear me now? I cannot hear you on my end. Let's say something now, see if everybody can hear you here. Can you guys hear him here?
That's plenty good.
I got you on speaker so the board can hear you.
All right, yeah.
Are you, can y'all hear? Okay, we'll go this route. I don't know what's wrong with the sound.
No worries.
Okay, you're good. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Last month, Austin had presented the audit and everything, and went through it, and the incorrect fiscal year was inserted, And I think the board might have had one or two questions on that, and
Sure.
so that's why we're recapping tonight.
All right,
So,
I'm here for any questions that the board may have.
Sorry.
Then I wanted to, talk about the, section, where we're talking about pensions.
All right,
And I'm gonna try and figure out which page that's on, cause I didn't know.
Pensions are at the back.
yes, sir, what question would you have?
Well, now I got to find it.
Okay, no worries.
Is there anything you want to- While you're looking for that, Commissioner Martin, can I ask a question?
Yeah, come in.
Good evening, Mr. Adams. Stacy Johnson here, and I am looking at page 28 of the audit under Water Sewer Fund, and it
Yeah.
shows accounts receivable of $68,084. I was looking at last year's, and we had a $49,521 water sewer fund. We've got a 37% increase over that on basically on doubtful accounts. Is that normal for that to increase? Is that a normal number? And if it is, are we supposed to be writing that off? I noticed as it's been increasing, it's up to almost $80,000, I believe.
So, yes, the allowance for doubtful accounts is a calculation, so we look at your age trial balance. So you'll have 30, 60, 90 days, just like on your tax schedule, the ad valorem schedule, you're allowed to keep 10 years worth of taxes, and you typically write off the 10th year. So same with the water allowance for doubtful accounts, we're gonna do a calculation that's based on the history and collections and what we think is reasonable, and then adjust that allowance for doubtful accounts each year.
Okay, so in 10 years that'll come off, is that what you're telling me? So the amount that went on 10 years ago.
This is for the taxes, I was giving you an example.
Okay.
You'll always have an allowance for doubtful accounts. As long as you have an accounts receivable amount that where customers owe the town for their water usage, you're gonna have an allowance for doubtful accounts.
Okay, and is a 37% increase, is that alarming, or is that normal? I'm just trying to figure out what the norm is.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I don't have the work papers here in front of me, but if the allowance would have went up if your accounts receivable went up. So if more people owe the town for their water bills, then the allowance would have also increased.
Okay, so that could insinuate a problem with policy or something of that matter, is that correct?
Right, or it could be, we didn't do the audit last year, did we?
Yes, you did.
yes.
Okay, well, if we had noticed it, it could be that we calculated it differently than somebody else. So if we did it last year for 2023, then yes, it would just insinuate that there were more uncollectibles, or we calculated to be more uncollectibles based on the increase in the amount of water bills that are owed to the town. Correct.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
you would want to get a 30, 60, 90 aged receivable listing, and then just look at the last column, the things that are over 90 days. Because that means if somebody hasn't paid in over 90 days, what are the town's policies? Do they get shut off? Is there a meter that gets turned off, or how does that work?
Yes, all of the above, and it's done at certain time periods. I'm just trying to figure out why it's increasing so rapidly. And so we're doing a little work internally trying to figure that out. So I just want to make sure we're following our policies. And I just didn't know if these numbers were alarming to you as an auditor. And so that's what,
Not with the increase in the receivables, no, sir.
okay.
And I just wanted to note that I believe the findings in the audit were worked on immediately. And I think if you compare what we have now to what was found in the audit, you're going to see that it has gone down.
Well, I did look at that
Quite a bit.
this week, and it's still some stuff out there, and that's why
Oh,
I
yeah,
questioned
but
it.
it's gone back down.
I think the 90-day come down about $10,000, but the other two are the 60 to 90 and the 30 to 60 still have significant amounts in them. So that's why I wanted to make sure that our process is flowing. Are we collecting enough money for deposit? Are we losing that money on deposit? If somebody runs $600 worth of water and we only have a $150 deposit, how many months do we go? And if we're doing all that on clockwork, I think we'll see
And
that
then we
number
have debt.
stabilize.
Yeah, and then we have debt set off too that we
Right.
send.
So you're sending that debt off to see if you can, Collect.
We're in that window of learning,
Yeah.
so yeah, but
Okay.
yes,
okay. I'm just trying to get it all in mind,
yeah,
how it works.
yeah.
Thank you.
On, page 28, that it talks about the fact that our, let me make sure I got those right, no, excuse me, page 33, it talks about that the town has chosen to fund the separation allowance as a pay as you go.
That's right.
So is there any other way that can be kept?
Sure, there's pay as you go, which yearly you have an actuarial study. So you send out the separation survey for law enforcement officers, and they do a calculation, and they come back and say, hey, town, here's how much money you need to have in the future to pay these benefits. You can fund them. It's called a trust agreement. You have to have it. Used to just be you could just put it in a separate account, but a couple years ago they decided no, they actually have to have a trust drawn up. You put the money in trust, and then the trust will pay the benefits. Nobody does that. So a 99% pay as you go. So as somebody retires, you pay the benefits. The calculation that we do from the actuarial study, that's yearly reading out of the notes. That just means we've elected to pay as we go. We have an actuarial study, and we're showing how much liability we have for these future benefit payments for the law enforcement special separation allowance.
Okay, and so, and basically that we only have to pay if those funds are only payable to law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. And then it's just based on the census that's sent in. So some of the time, some of those people are not going to retire or earn the benefit, but if they just do a calculation based on what they think actuarially, like, you know, how many people actually retire, and here's the benefits that they're going to get in 30 years or whatever, and then they come up with a number. The number is what the town records as a liability for those future benefit payments. So that's what we're doing. And then as an officer retires, we pay the benefits, the health insurance, and whatever the benefits are.
Yeah, cause we've got, what, 2 officers now, right? That we actually pay for.
Right,
Okay.
Tyrone and,
Bobby.
Bob Bradford.
Yeah. And on page 35, those pension expenses, that is actually the percentage. I think it's 6% or something, like that we pay for every employee, regardless of.
So there's two different pension expenses. One is the LEGEARS, which is the Local Government Employee Retirement System expense, and the other one is the LEO, the Special Separation Allowance. So one of them would be for all employees, and one of them would be specific to law enforcement.
Okay. And I'm trying to find the statement that where it shows that we had a couple of losses, in some of our funds. I'm trying to find the page that shows that.
It could be like the Beaver Dam Creek cleanout phase 1, where we have.
No, I know that, that it wasn't that. Because I know that those are just overages from projects that we did.
Yep.
That I'm thinking that it was either in the, that it may have been, that it may have been through the administration portion that we took in, that we paid out more than we actually took in. Well, something that I can find under our non-compliances on page 75. So that it talked about that we needed to either up a bond on somebody.
Yeah, Austin explained that last time.
I can explain it again.
Okay, go ahead.
It used to have a finance officer bond that was $50,000. You had to have it. It was the general statute, the law. Then they changed it during the middle of the year last year, where you had to use your budget and multiply your budget by 10% up to $1 million. So that means it would be up to $10 million budget. So if your budget was $7 million, then you had to have 10%. So you had to have a finance officer bond of $700,000. So it depended on what all your budgets added up to. So you guys didn't do that. You just left it at the $50,000 mark. So that therefore your bond, I mean, it just happened this year. So I'm thinking Mike has already changed this, and we've already adjusted the finance officer bond, so it won't be a recurring finding. But you had to change it during the year. We had many many units that didn't realize that it was implemented during the year, so that we had this finding on several audits this year. So you had to do that calculation during the year and make sure that you had adjusted by the year end, adjusted the finance officer bond to be 10% of your total annual budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to find the, other one that I want to ask about. On page 48, our change in fund balance. So let me make sure that I understand what I'm seeing is that these different departments were added together. Looks like Parks and Rec and some that has some retirement and some loan proceeds along with transfer, and so, but the bottom line is that our fund balance went down $61,579.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, the key number that the LGC looks at is they look at the town of Princeton. They say, what is the population of the town of Princeton? They lump that in with, say the population is 2,501 people. Then 2,500 to 5,000 is a category. And then they say, your fund balance, undesignated, so not any reserved fund balance, just your undesignated fund balance, the money you can appropriate, has to be at least 34% of your total general fund expenditures. That's a key figure that they care about, more so than what the profit or loss was for the year. That goes into the calculation, but they care what that figure is. 34% of expenditures for like-sized towns and municipalities. You're at 41.24%. So as far as the LGC is concerned, you're in excellent financial health because you're above the stated recommendation by the LGC.
But on a spending level, that shouldn't we be concerned that our availability of cash is actually decreasing and not increasing?
Well, yeah, just that calculation has a lot of, like this year, the last 4 years, that fund balance percentage, which is about 34% recommended, yours went from 45 down to 10, then back up to 54, and this year at 41. So when you were down in 2022 at the 10%, that would be very concerning. There's the 61,000 means, yes, you lost 61,000, but it could be in your receivables. It could be that you had more payables at the end of the year. That really, that fund balance available as a percentage of general fund expenditures is a key figure that we should be keeping an eye on. As that starts trending downwards, yes, we want to make sure we get it going in the upward direction like you guys did from 2022 to 23 and 24.
But I believe that was from the AARP funds,
Golden Leaf.
Golden Leaf. Those increases, was that not from the ARP funds?
More than likely.
That's slingshot
Increase? Yes, increases. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and the point I'm getting to is that those funds are probably not gonna be available in the future.
Right.
And so, that we really have to look at, our revenue, what we're actually making and what we're spending, because we can really spiral down very, very quickly.
Agree.
Let me see, I think there was. Thank you. Got your back probably better than mine.
Mr. Adams, where would we go to see what caused that $61,579 loss? I'm sure it's in this package, but do you know what chart we'd be looking for, or what page?
You're looking at the audit report itself.
Yes, sir.
I would say where the commissioner just was at on page 48, that would be the general fund budget to actual. Is that what he was looking at?
That is correct.
So that will give you the revenue that came in. It would be good. I don't know that Austin has one, but I could see if we have a work paper that shows you the comparative. So you would say what were the expenditures line by line from last year to from the 2024 to 2023, to see if you had any anomalies and increases or decreases in revenue, like the ARP money, or you had some repairs and a fund and a department that you didn't have last year, something like that. I could see if we have a budget to actual comparison for the 2 years.
Do you happen to have that page 48 in front of you?
No, because my staff member was supposed to send me the audit, but they just sent me a copy of the presentation that I already had, so I don't have a copy of the audit here with me.
On here, it shows revenues and over expenditures, and it says the final budget shows a negative 339,000, almost 304. And then the actual was a negative 43,000.
Yep.
For a variance of 296,000.
Right. So that just means that when you did the budget was off by $290,000 to what you thought.
Okay. That was that year. We had a rough year last year.
I mean, 293,
Right.
that's a lot of money. Cause we can't
So you have
afford,
to look at each one of those budgeted lines and see if the revenue, like if you expected to get more grant revenue, more ad valorem tax revenue, local option sales tax revenue, where the difference is between what the budget forecast was and what actually happened.
Okay.
and on 23, you make reference to, references that we have to make sure that our amendments keep up with our spending,
Yes.
if we're over budget.
Yes. So once we write the audit up, because it's after June 30th, no more budget amendments can be made after June 30th. And then if in a department, public safety, that there are, which ones were these? The general fund, the Gold Leaf Downtown Drainage Fund, the community. So each one of those funds, before year end, you would want to take a look at your budget to actual statements and then make budget amendments so the board could vote on them sometime towards the end of June to make sure there's not anything over budget. Because what you've done then is violate a general statute that you cannot spend money that hasn't been budgeted.
And another page I wanted to look at was page 19, the water and sewer fund.
Yes, sir.
So the operating revenues was $870,063, and and it shows depreciation of 932,436. And it shows that we had an operating loss in the water and sewer of 62,373. Now is that caused by actual operating expense, or is that because of depreciation?
Well, the depreciation figure is included in there. So
Right.
yes, the depreciation is included. If you flip over, not the next page, but the next page after that, which is called the statement of cash flows.
Statement, yeah, okay, page 20.
The cash flows. Then you have the top section, which is called cash flows from operations.
Uh-huh.
That is what would be a financial performance indicator if that was, what is that number?
951,244.
Right, so that is 951,000. If that number was negative, that is a financial performance indicator, meaning your cash that's flowing through the water fund from operations is negative, then that would be something the board would have to address in terms of a rate study or looking at something or respond to the LGC. That is more of a financial indicator than just the operating income, because like you said, it takes into account non-cash expenses. So you don't really pay for the depreciation because you're doing that over the useful life of the system.
And so, let me try to get the question right. So, if we are not churning enough revenue to offset the depreciation, then that basically means that we are not making enough because we don't have the funds to replace whatever it is that is getting older or damaged or whatever. That I'm not asking the question right, but I don't know how to ask
I
the
understand
question.
what you're saying. You have to be able to afford to pay for the repair and replacement of the system. But you are, because your operating cash was higher than, was not zero, was 900,000. So the amount of cash that your operations are generating was positive. So you'd be able to afford, and everything would be bought over time. So if you had to buy or pay for some kind of new water system or water lines, you'd probably pay for it over 10 years or get a bond or something like that. And that's the kind of figure they would look at to see if you could afford to pay the debt.
So, and it looked like that at the end of the day, the net cash provided or used by operating activities, that actually is a negative number, 86,233.
Well, then that would be something you would want to take a look at, because if your operations, I don't see it as a financial performance indicator, but if your operations are not providing enough cash to cash flow, then you have to, usually you want to do a rate study or look at your, like other commissioner was talking about, your 30, 60, 90, see if we're not collecting enough, or if our receivables are too high, or if our allowance for doubtful accounts is higher, all those kind of things. Those are really performance issues and management issues, which I I can't really tell you what to do in terms of what you should or shouldn't do. But I mean, that's what other units have done that have had negative operating cash in the proprietary fund. You do a rate study to make sure that the rates you're charging are enough.
Okay, I'm thinking that's gonna complete my questions, I believe.
All right,
Yeah.
sir.
Anyone else have any questions? Everybody
Good. Okay,
good? You good?
good, okay. I think we're good.
Mr. Adams, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, have a good night. Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Have a great day.
You too, thank you.
With that being said, we knew we had that loss when we were doing the budget. And so we did work on that. Yeah, we did a rate adjustment. We worked on that. So we'll see how that fares. We'll know something here in the next few months.
So you made an adjustment knowing this was the situation, I mean, yeah, you didn't, but you anticipating this was going to be where you were heading, and so you made an adjustment. Maybe next time, next audit would reflect?
The next audit should reflect it, that this board made the decision to raise water and sewer
Okay.
rates last year. And we did it pretty significantly, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it was to combat that issue right there, because we could see that when we were doing our budgets.
But also, we're not raising them just to raise them. We have to cover the cost of buying the water from Johnson County.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Well,
so,
everything has increased with
Yeah.
inflation and so
Right,
forth.
I see.
But we think that's where this come from. Now, the other option, the other thing is to make sure what we're buying, we're able to sell it. And that we're keeping account of that, and that's where the questions on doubtful accounts was coming from, to make sure that our policies, do we have enough deposit to cover people if they go for 60 days without paying? Do we have enough deposit to cover their two bills? And so, for instance, mine was $185 this month, that's trash and everything, but, you know, just the deposit need to be, if I wasn't to pay my bill,
Yeah.
it would be $400.
Yeah.
So is there enough in the kitty to cover it when we go to cut the check?
I'll check with all the surrounding towns and kind of see what their water sewer policy is as far
And what's
as
our
deposits and
What is our
all that.
deposit?
Our deposit's 150, no, 190. Is it
Well, it's,
It's $150 deposit. We have a $40 admin fee.
Yeah. So
And,
190 total.
and probably what we need to think about doing is to develop a policy that whenever the rate change, that the down payment or changes.
Should change.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, that makes,
Salt and blue.
One thing that hurts is we are a very populated rental town, and people come and go all the time. And if they just go, we don't know until
It's too late.
it's too late.
That's where deposit,
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the deposit.
And we discussed that, but we were worried about getting them too high. But, you know, if you want your water, you'll pay your deposit, and then
Yeah.
you'll have it. And then, you know, the town is set, if you walk away from your bill, from your obligation, then the town can recoup it. And, you know, our doubtful accounts is somewhere around, I believe, 70 or 80,000. I've got it, but I don't have it here with me. But we just need to dig into that and check it.
Because part of the, our, policy is that if, that they don't have to put down money if they're able to show that they had, good credit from, right?
Did we do away with
No,
that?
We did away with that.
We did away with that.
Yeah.
Everybody has to
Yeah,
pay.
everybody has to pay. And
Okay.
it used to be owner paid a different than a renter, and it's all the same now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now everybody pays.
Everybody
now.
pays. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause we did that, change.
About a year or
Yeah, about a
two
year
ago.
and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all the same now.
It was just
It was
actually,
We just did it like,
Yeah,
July
we just,
1st,
we just adopted it for this year, sure did.
We made
discussed
do
it
that,
last
a few
spring,
few
maybe.
changes. But we're going to be looking at that, especially with budget season coming, exactly what that is doing.
But I'll check with the surrounding towns and see what their water sewer policy is as far as deposits and, you know, how they handle their disconnections and non-payments and stuff.
Well, we just need to make sure we're ending up on the positive side. We know we'll give the money back. If,
I think our deposit is high compared to probably some of the towns, but
I
The
don't think so.
rentals, I see your point though.
yeah.
You know, our town is probably 60 to 70% rental.
And it may be something we can look at changing this coming year, that if it's a renter that's coming in, that the deposit for a renter could be double or whatever it may be.
I mean, you
Because
just keep it
typically a
the same.
renter has to pay at least 1 month's rent, you know, for a deposit. So we might could run a history, you know, on the last couple months, see what the average bill was, and then take that and say, oh, your deposit is, you know, X times 3 or whatever.
Well, a good exercise to look at is the people who are leaving us, and we've got some that are leaving us. When they leave us, are we having to pay, or are we coming out okay? I know I signed a bunch of checks going back out. I signed 2 today, I think. So, but how many did we not get a refund and cost us money?
Yeah.
And that, the whole population of Princeton is bearing that expense.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think the new policy that was implemented, we didn't start that till what, September?
September 1, yeah,
We,
September.
we started in the pandemic to where we didn't turn anyone off.
Right.
Because so many people were losing their jobs and we got people on payment plans. We were trying to get people help. Well, it never just picked back up. We never just, so it was, we had several counts. During the audit, we realized I'm not sure how many thousands, but it was shocking. And so we did a 2-month campaign of calling, certified letters twice, and we reached out to them, and you know, we go beyond because we give them names and numbers of churches of the county that
Try to get pledges to help them.
to help them out to get it caught up. And now the policy is no exception. If you have a balance, it's disconnected.
Could you do a penalty on the owner for not notifying you in a change of a renter? Like I don't know, I mean, how do you keep, we're not in the business of
You
keeping
can,
lease
but-
agreements or rental properties, I guess, but.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the renters don't know, I mean, the property owners don't
Yeah.
know either.
Really?
Whether some of them run by
I
property
had one that was
managers.
behind by a lot, and when I found out, they got it corrected, but
They've sublet so many times, the owner doesn't even know who's in there?
it had just gone way too far, and so they,
She was
They
talking
believe it.
about when you have a
Yeah.
renter just
Oh.
leave.
Yeah, yeah, if you don't know the chain, no one's, you're saying 'cause the new renter should pay a new deposit. Right,
That's
I mean, so what I'm saying is, should there be a penalty on the owner of the property for not notifying, you know, they're responsible for their new renters to let us know they need to pay a deposit. I don't know how you do that, I'm just,
They,
Yeah.
well, y'all
well,
collect a deposit.
Yeah.
Y'all collect a deposit when
Well,
they come
if you
in
got-
and apply. Is that what you're asking?
I'm saying if I own a house and I let these people come live there for a year and they pay a deposit, who pays the deposit? The renter or
The
me?
renter.
The renter.
Okay, the renter pays the deposit. Those people move out and I got new tenants in, those people should be paying a deposit, right?
That's correct.
So if those people aren't coming to pay a deposit, the owner should be penalized. And so should you give a penalty fee to the owner
They have
for
to.
not?
Yeah,
order to
well,
get
see, they
one,
don't
they have
get
to.
service if they don't come in and pay a deposit.
Okay, so
They
that
have to
just
fill
carries
out an
that.
application
Okay,
and
right.
the whole 9 yards. if
so
they-
typically, sometimes what happens is, April lives in a house and she may leave. The water and everything's still on, whatever, she just up and leaves. The new tenant comes in and lives and they got, oh, we got water, whatever, the next month it's cut off. They don't know. They come in here, hey, my water's cut off. We say, well, you're renting, you have to get it put in your name.
Okay,
And that's how we find out they're
Okay.
gone.
okay.
So,
But the key is getting
all
it
the
cut
time.
off, having that deposit to cover that expense,
Yeah.
and making sure that's enough.
Probably
to cover
increasing
that
deposits should
expense.
solve.
I'm thinking that it probably needs to be around 200, but see what other towns are doing,
Yeah,
and we
I'll
can
check
bring it
on
back to it. But another thing is to make sure that we're covering the people who are leaving. And, Y'all have to tell us that, but that will tell us, if it's 150 enough, or does it need to be 200?
All right.
Well, I mean, like I said, if we stay on top of the policy of if they have any amount owed, we disconnect them, you're gonna get away from that.
You get on quick, and
Right.
it should stop. And then if your deposit is enough, it should all disappear.
Right.
Technically, you should be able to take it out, and you shouldn't have any, you will have some, 3690, but you'll cut them off. You'll take their deposit, and it covers it, and you should be able to walk
Right.
away. It's just like buying and selling a house. We have procedures, you know what they are, and those procedures protect the buyer and the seller.
Right.
And that's the same thing that you need. We're selling water, and our town is buying
Right.
it. And so we just have to have those procedures in place.
Right.
So,
We do need to adopt the audit.
okay?
That we need to do what?
Adopt.
Oh, okay. I make the motion that we adopt the,
Second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 4-0. One other thing of business that needs to be dealt with, I don't think we took care of, was we need a motion to proceed with Heritage Builders.
I'll make a motion.
Did we not do, we did not do that?
We
Yeah, we
did.
did, yeah, I thought
We did again.
Yeah.
Mr. Martin made that,
And then,
and he seconded.
Yeah, now second.
he said,
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr.
All right, we've got it. That's good.
so when are we going to, get into the, possible, determining what our tax rate is gonna be?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've had some conversations with the county, and I had a meeting, was last week with Rick Hester and the county managers, and it was discussed. And the county basically just said, we don't know right now. They're waiting for all the revals to go through the county board and the state board. They'll make some adjustments. We're hoping maybe April we'll have a better idea. But the county has told us that right now, they really don't know.
There is a ton of appeals in there. I'm actually filing mine tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
I
they-
filed mine today, I got mine.
So, there is a ton of appeals, they've got to go through all those, and then that will tell us what the tax base is, so we can start looking at what our numbers need to be.
just funny.
So it's gonna be a little while before we can do that, but it's gonna be a very interesting time.
yeah.
Um,
We've had that conversation, they don't have an answer right now.
And I don't know how that'll work with budgets, because everything is up in the air. I don't know if they'll send us what they had, and then we'll just start working with it, and we'll just have to manipulate it once we know. But, it's gonna be
It's gonna be hard to do the budget
Yeah.
based on where everything's at.
because you don't know what your tax base is.
Right.
You know what is proposed,
Yeah.
and so, it's gonna be messy.
Well, now, yes, that's on the county side, but I mean, we still have to make we still have to make a decision what our tax rate is gonna be. One of the things that I'm looking at too, I don't know how much money that we'll be able to get on grants and so forth. Because it looks like that the feds are gonna kick everything down to the state level. And
They're gonna freeze it till they figure it out.
and I can tell you, if it comes down to the state level, what is gonna happen. That state is not gonna have the money. And, so whatever tax rate that we come up with, we're gonna have to be very, very careful, because there may not be there may not be anybody that's gonna bail us out. And, we've got a lot of stuff that we got to move forward on, and, gotta have, and all of it costs money.
Yeah, we need to be very, very careful with what we're doing, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's gonna take so much to run the town, just like it takes
Oh,
so
yeah.
much for me to live and
Yeah.
you to live, and we figure that out, we'll balance it. You know, taxes, our tax rate might could be cut in half, I don't know. I know that our property values almost jumped, well, they jumped 91%?
91%.
So they jumped 91%, so in theory, our income, our tax rate could drop 91% and remain revenue neutral. Now, the question is, what has gone up in the town and what we have to pay for? And you've got employees, raises, and equipment, and we can't stop not looking after that, but we've gotta find a nice steady hill to climb and figure out what where that is and follow that trend.
Cause I was, just like the, police department, I was, talking to a Smithfield officer. Their hiring now is in the 60s, and they're given a $5,000 sign-on bonus, and there's a whole bunch of thrills and stuff that they give them in their package to help, and so it is going to remain difficult for us to have help, and we've got to have employees here.
One last thing, everything you're saying is correct, but for a town to thrive, we got to continue to add rooftops.
Oh yeah, definitely
And if we're
so.
not adding rooftops, the burden of taxes becomes so great on each
Oh, yeah.
individual that lives here. And that's not what has happened over the past years. It's been very few houses added as the taxes increased. And so, you're trying to improve your town, and I think that's why a lot of things we're waiting for grants or money to bail you out. We've got to become self-sufficient,
Exactly.
and we've got to learn how to stand on our own. And I think this current administration in Washington is that's what they want us to do. They want us to work our governments. So we're going to have to be thrifty. We're going to have to be smart, and we can't waste. And so we just got to work that and be a smart board. And I think we can make a lot of changes.
Well, and speaking of rooftops, when are you gonna give us more rooftops?
Motion to
I
adjourn.
think that's a motion.
We're working on it. There should be some coming here shortly.
Just a reminder, 2 weeks from tonight though, is the planned retreat. We will have supper 5 to 6, and then the COG will facilitate from 6 to
So it's just in the evening? It's
9,
not-
just that one night, yeah.
I'll be getting in probably about, somewhere between 6:15, 6:30.
Okay.
Grab your plate and have a seat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna work.
That I'm gonna be in that same number.
We'll have the food. Liz is responsible, so.
One more thing, in what you were discussing earlier with the watering, and that, I think we need to look at a timeline for increases, like water increases, and state, if we're gonna have an increase, what that increase will be, and try to give the public some idea of what's coming so they can prepare. So I've heard of towns doing 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years, they know they have a 2% increase every year for the next 5 years, and then you reevaluate. And we can reevaluate it each year, and if we need to change, we can work it. But it kind of gives you a vision of where you're going and how to increase the funds that you're going to put in. Same thing with the library. The fire department, we have no control of, but the library, this board does. And we got to decide if we want to maintain, decrease, increase what we're going to do. The town can only afford so much. And so if we have those numbers, they know how to prepare and know what they need to do as far as fundraising and the things that they need to do to support themselves.
And we've gotta think about too, that in the water and sewer department that, we are going to have to borrow, what is it, 2.5 million? Is it 2.5?
It's estimated.
2.4.
Yeah, so we need to really be thinking about putting some, numbers together as far as rates.
Mhm.
Because it's all about rates and Lord, and I wanna tell y'all something, that I, got my water bill, well, I got a water bill, but as usual, I didn't look at that. But I just happened to be going down my, bank statement and I saw a deduction from the town of Princeton for my water bill, and I said, I said, oh, because it was high. Because the first number was a 2, so it wasn't 20 something either.
Good job, Liz.
Taking a long time.
We do try to catch them, but I can tell you, anything that's 200 or less, we don't flag it because we don't look at each account. We go through and, the ones that are 120,000, we know something's wrong there and that kind of thing. But I tell her, I said, don't even worry about 200 below. I said, they'll call us. That's what I'm saying. I said, they'll call us.
They will, they'll call it.
Doggone skip it.
I call it,
I have a motion to adjourn. All in
Second.
All in favor?
So
Motion
now,
passes.
how is it that you can get out of here at 8 o'clock?
Huh?
How is it since you didn't get out of here at 8 o'clock like you thought you would?
Well, I knew that last meeting was not the norm.
Not even close. That's the first time in 4 years I've been on here that's happened, I can tell you that.
Huh?
Appreciate your time.